Good evening, welcome to Last Bell Boxing. We're privileged to be joined by Paul Smith Jr. this evening. Cheers for joining, Paul. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. Good to be here.
Sound. And then we got a bit of a B-side. Ander, how you going, Ander?
I'm all right. Cole. Cheers. All right, Paul.
Right, Andy, okay.
So we know you've had a mad one today, Paul, so we're going to jump straight into it, okay? So Let's start with the press conference for Liam today. I thought Liam conducted himself really well today, and he looks ready. So what are your thoughts?
A lot of thoughts, to be honest with you. You've got one camp in Fowler who needs someone whispering in his ear, "You're great, you're this, you're that, you're good," and needs convincing and needs to believe that he can beat Liam. And to do that, you've got McGuigan and people around him, and you've seen the interviews and the headlines on it. Liam Smith passed it, his best days are behind him, and that's what you need to motivate yourself. Then brilliant. And the other camp, you've got someone who's overestimating a fighter who's limited, overestimating a fighter in Fowler that Liam should be beating relatively well, and he's expecting the best version of Anthony Fowler that we haven't seen yet. If the best version of him's been and gone, then who knows? It may have been against Fitzgerald, it may have been against Bryant, who knows? But Liam is overestimating Anthony Fowler and training accordingly, and he's training for the best possible version of Anthony Fowler, the biggest punching for Anthony Fowler, the fittest Anthony Fowler. So who's really underestimating who? That's how I look at it. There's no danger whatsoever of Liam underestimating Anthony Fowler, because I've watched him in his camp, I've watched him in his spar, I've been there because we were in there every day. He trains in the Rotunda now. Callum Smith's been in there training, my brother Callum, with Buddy Mcgirt alongside Joseph and Declan and Liam. It's been like one big camp all together, and you can't buy that experience of having Buddy along there as well, helping out with things. And he's done everything asked of him. Joseph and Declan have done a great job. He's in fantastic shape, as you'll see tomorrow. And it's too many contradictions that have been getting mentioned in this, and starting to wind me up a little bit. Liam is ready, and we don't need to sort of go on there and shout that out loud and say that out loud. All I hear of Fowler is, "I've done 15 rounds in the gym." No one's asked you what you've done in the gym. Why did you feel the need to say that to people? I'm as fit as I've ever been. It's the best camp I've ever had. And I'm sitting there thinking, I'm sure you said that before Fitzgerald. Every fighter says that. We all do that. Every fighter does that. Even if you've had a bad camp, you're not going to really mention it. But you're protesting a bit too much. I've had a great camp. I've had this and that. That's fine if that's what you want to do. Liam's just quiet and going about his business like a professional. Though this is not new to Liam. He's been there and done it all, and it's all brand new to Anthony Fowler.
It seems clear to me, Paul, and obviously I'm just looking at it from the outside like every other boxing fan. It seems clear to me that they're doing one thing, and that's rolling the dice.
Yeah, and well done to them. Good luck to them. I agree. You've got to roll the dice sometime, but especially in Anthony Fowler's career, in Anthony Fowler's position, he's 30 years of age now. Yeah. He's not a young prospect that people keep mentioning. He's had his first loss. He's had one step up and he lost it, and this is an even bigger step up. And he's got every chance. Of course, he's got a chance. No one's writing him off completely. He's got no chance. Everyone's got a chance, and he's rolling the dice, as you say. And good luck to him. Fair play to him. But let's in my opinion, let's keep it as it is, or what it is. That's what I've been looking at. And I'm seeing so many people back on Fowler or saying things on Fowler. A lot of them don't really want to interact, but the first thing I'd say to them is, based on what? Really, what you think Fowler's going to win by stoppage or by knockout? Based on what? That's what I'd like to see. Is it off what you see from Canelo or Munguia, because they are in that level compared to Fowler? Yeah. Or is it based on what you've seen with Liam Williams, who you could argue at the time was, I think he's above British level, but it was a British title fight between two British lads, or a roundabout British title fight, or an eliminator for the WBO belt. But Liam Williams is an animal. Liam Williams is a very, very good fighter, and if Liam Williams was matched against Anthony Fowler, we'd all be saying that Liam Williams will win pretty comfortably. But people, for some reason, are assuming Liam Smith has passed it and finished, and this is a close fight. And I just personally don't know why, but we're going to find out Saturday night, and I'm really excited for it, and a bit nervous because obviously my brother.
I think Matt Nelly hit the nail on the head. I'm a bit of a fan of him now. It's the first time I've come across him, but I thought he was brilliant today. And he put it on Earn as well.
Yeah.
When he says, it's like standing in the chip shop and you've jumped the queue to get your fish and chips. This might stop me getting Fowler on the show ever, but I don't care. He doesn't belong in the ring with Liam Smith.
No, but listen, it's on now, and that's what Liam keeps saying. Before all that, you could have said that, but now it's on. So let's deal with it, get it on, and so to speak. But there's Cheeseman on that table who will feel like he deserves a shot at Liam. Whether he was offered Liam or not, I don't know, and I'm not sure if he'd want to take it because he could avoid Liam and still try and get to the top. And Liam's a tough fight that you wouldn't want to take unless you really have to. This is what I keep getting at. Anthony Fowler has to take this fight because it's been offered to him. It's not that I don't think he's in a position to say no to this fight. I don't think he's in a position to knock this back. The carrot that was dangled in front of him as well financially will be too much for him to turn down. Liam's being paid well. Fowler will be being paid well. But that's too good an offer to refuse. You can't say no to these type of fights when you're in the stage of your career that Anthony Fowler's in. As I keep saying, he's had 16 fights. He stepped up once with Fitzgerald and it backfired on him massively. Fitzgerald beat him. If Liam was matched with Fitzgerald now, there wouldn't be this buzz about the fight. It'd just be, Liam will beat Fitzgerald well and move on. But it's Anthony Fowler, it's a local derby, so we're all here fight week and we're all getting excited about it, myself included. But we're all realists, and as a family, we've always been realistic, and you have to be realistic. Believe in yourself by all means, and that's what Anthony Fowler's doing. And I wish him well. I wish him, good health after the fight, during the fight, and goes home to his missus and his new baby and enjoys it. Little things like that. Liam had a little girl 3 weeks ago. Yeah, it's like, Anthony Fowler's got a newfound motivation because he's just had the baby and he's had it. Liam had the baby 3 weeks ago himself. People like Anthony Fowler's boxed all his life, been doing it all his life. So has Liam. There's nothing really new that Liam hasn't already done. It just seems to get forgotten. As Liam said today, he doesn't document his every move on social media. Probably why people see it more with Fowler, because everything is on social media constantly. Liam's working out behind the scenes. Doesn't need to bang it on social media. He's doing the stuff. He's doing what he's needed to do.
There's also another angle to look at it. Me and Cole were talking about this off here, and that is that, and I think we mentioned it on the last time you were on. Liam don't seem to have been given the push he deserves to have been given by his promoting company.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah.
And I got the distinct feeling at the press conference that Eddie was being a little bit biased towards Fowler. Now, whether that's his salesman speech coming in and he's trying to make the fight seem a bit more close than it's actually going to be, or whether he actually does think that Fowler's the next golden carrot and he can take things on and he don't think Liam's got a lot left or whatever. Liam's been with Matchroom a long while now, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's been with them a fair bit now. Fowler's been there from day one when he turned. But listen, when it comes to Eddie, I thought Eddie was good today. I thought it was great how he had Joe McNally with us. And he said, look, I looked at Liam was number one, Fowler was number two. Both scouts been doing. I thought it was great. I thought he spoke great. He always speaks great, Eddie. I'm not trying to kiss him hard. He is what he is. He's the best promoter out there because of how he is. He's a clever man, a knowledgeable man. You ask him a question, he'll tell you anything about any fighters in any weight. You ask a fighter who's active at the moment about weight, only we can name you the top 10. He will probably take all the weights. He lives and breathes the game, and success speaks for itself where he's at. Now, he may want to build this fight by big and Fowler to be something that he isn't, or better than he actually is. He might want to lean towards Fowler to give it a bit of a push as if this isn't a white wash. This isn't Liam going to win. This is a close fight. But he may actually believe Fowler is going to win this fight. And his opinion, and that's absolutely fine to it. Everyone's entitled to an opinion. You can't write people off opinion. There's educated ones, there's uneducated ones, and there's ones that are just, a bit of favouritism. People will say, I'm only saying Liam's going to win well because he's my brother. I think I know boxing, but that's just opinion.
I think Fowler's in a world of trouble.
And me, and I think you'll see it. And I think Fowler's done an article which again I spoke about today in that interview when people say human, and I was talking now. He said it's going to be brutal and it's going to be nasty. This is Fowler, and I thought, well, you've never been in a brutal fight in your life, to be honest with you. And he boxed some top kids in the amateurs, Ukrainians, Russians, everyone else, and every credit to him. He did more as an amateur than I did. and they were tough fights. But in the pros, you've had all your own way, and the one fight where it wasn't your own way, you actually lost it. So as for brutal, Liam's had brutal fights, and he will go to that place because he can. As for Nasty, he refused a handshake with you 8 or 10 weeks ago, and we haven't should have cried about it since. You know, it was just a handshake. He didn't want to shake his hand. It's a personal thing. It's a local derby. They're not friends. They've never been friends. They're never going to be friends. There'll be respect there after the fight because you can't not have respect for someone you share the ring with, in my opinion. And I think that'll be the case here. But they're never going to go for a drink together. They're never going to really have a conversation if they see each other apart from hello to that. You know, but you've done nothing but cry about that since it happened, and the outrage on social media of disrespect. It's not about respect. This is a fight. Yeah. This is a local derby. As a family, we've had a fair bit of practice on them, and we've never lost one. And you need that in local derbies. I'm not your friend. I'm not your mate. I don't want you going home thinking, oh, he's all right, I can train and relax. Yeah. Once Fowler worried about him, and he will have been worrying about him all through this camp. And that's where I think Shane McGuigan calm him down in his ear, you know. Don't worry about him, he's finished, you're great, you're this. And he needs people like that around him. Liam's been getting pushed hard and getting swore at, forced in the gym. And, on, you've got to do this, you cannot lose this fight, you've got to do it. And he's worked hard as a result.
Well, I know you know Liam better than me and Andy clearly, but he looked spiteful today. From the outside looking in, he looked in the zone, he looked spiteful. That's the only way I can describe him, you know, and he's very businesslike one day. He wanted to get it done and get out of there. Whereas,
and he is spiteful. He is spiteful. The thing with Liam is he couldn't give a shit what anyone or what they're doing. And as I say, you know, it sounds petty. I watched Fowler in a couple of interviews and press conferences that he's had, press conferences especially. And I've watched them when the opponent's talking, and it's hard not to notice it because you're sitting there at the table as a whole, you're sitting back and you're watching that table. And all of a sudden he'll try this yawn, like he's yawning, like a fake yawn. And he's sitting there like, and I think, you're not yawning, why you like, is your jaw bad? The first time I noticed it, but then the second time he done it again. Every time the opponent's talking in the press conference. So I noticed this probably before Fitzgerald or when Fitzgerald was happening. And because I think one of our lads was on the bill of Fitzgerald anyway, so I think it was Callum, probably, maybe Liam. And I'm watching, thinking, why are you doing that? So I had a laugh today, I had a little bet, I had a little joke. I said to a couple of the lads, a couple of the young boxers who were with us, match fighters, a couple of my brothers, I said, right, I'll have a little book on how many fake yawns. One of the lads went, I think 8, and I said, I think 10. So I went, I'll go over 10 then. And we were sitting there, so when the first one happened, before literally while Eddie was speaking, I went, there's one. And we were laughing and joking, so every time what had happened, one of the women behind it, well, there's another one. And I think there was about 15. And yeah, call it all you want, but I'm watching a man that's going to fight me brother, so I can be petty and I can watch.
Yeah.
I can see things and I notice things and I know things about fighters, and it's nerves, and it's more like you're more worried about what people think you think rather than what's actually going on. You want us to think you're not bothered, you're and you'd rather not be there. When this is the biggest fight of your life, and you are bothered and you are interested, and you should be. It's not a sign of disrespect, but it could be. You know, you're sitting there, your opponent's talking, and you're trying to put a fake yawn on, you know, as if like, I'm not asked, I'm not bothered. This isn't it. When really you are asked, and this is a fight, and this is a big fight, the biggest fight of your life.
He won't be yawning Saturday night, I can assure you that one, when he gets in that ring. So, Paul, just moving on to Callum, because we've not caught up with you since Callum fought.
Yeah.
So, first of all, while I remember, many happy returns for yesterday. I believe it's your big one next year. I'm a couple of years in front of you.
Not this year, next year.
And I'm many years in front of you.
You're about 20 years, aren't you, Andy? So anyway, can I just say what a great, respectful show it was after Callum when you guys jumped in the ring and just made Callum aware of the situation. Props for that, because that was very respectful and it's how it should be.
I don't think he knew. And you're right.
No, he didn't know.
That way. Like I watch a bit of UFC now and then, and I think it's fucking brutal the way they are. These fellas asleep on the floor and they're just selling. They don't. And it's not against UFC. I'm not against it at all. I think it's a fascinating sport, and I admire them because it's a tough game. But it's like there's that etiquette in boxing. If someone's bad, you wait and you just mute the celebrations. But to be fair to Callum, he said this after it as well. He's hit him. He's felt the shot. He's gone down. And when Castillo's been having that convulsion or the little fit what he had, it looked like he was trying to get up. So he didn't look like he was asleep. But Callum didn't realise until he got on the ropes, and I clocked his eyes, got closed, and knew he was bad. It was bad. And I just shouted, Callum, get down because this is worse than what it is basically. And he noticed straight away. He stopped. He went to the corner, and that was it. Then everything sort of stopped it with regards to celebrations. But when he first hit the floor, I jump up and I was like punching the air. He can get in, but then I noticed it wasn't him trying to get up. He was actually having a fit, and it was bad.
Right.
I went to get the gum shield out, but it was already out on the floor. The doctor, the paramedics, they were unbelievable as the boxing board of control in Britain always are with medical. But in the oxygen was on. But then he closed his eyes after about 3 minutes, 2 minutes, and then he was asleep, and that was scary because I've never seen that before. Where I've seen fellas get knocked out and they hit the floor and they wake up, or they get knocked out before and stay asleep and then they wake up. Never seen someone hit the floor, be a little bit of a fit, look like they're still there and they're looking around, and then go asleep. And then and it worried me a little bit. And I was trying to sort of take Callum's mind off it, but also talk to him about the performance. And in a way, I'll restate what I said. I said, I'm proud of you. You know, you're getting out of bed every morning. You don't have to. You're coming in, you're working hard. You went to America for 4 weeks, trained really hard over there. And I know what Buddy's like as a coach because I've worked with him. When you're with him in America at the first camp especially, you feel like an amateur again. You feel so basic and you feel shit, and he's telling you no, and you're trying something, go no, don't do that, and he's just correcting you all the time. And you've got to be willing to learn first and foremost, but you've also got to know what he's saying, because if you don't know and you don't get it, you'll just feel lost. And when I phoned Callum and asked him like a couple of weeks in, how are you finding it? He said, look, he's correcting me a lot. He said, I feel like a crab again. I feel like I'm back to school. He said, but everything he's saying, I know it's right. I can see what he's saying, and I'll get there. He come on, we worked out for 4 weeks. Like the opponent, when he got the opponent, that's a tough opponent for your first fight back. You know, Castillo.
You know what, Paul? I don't think a lot of people realise just how good Castillo was.
Exactly. And that's what he said, you know, and I got that. I remember thinking, you know, okay, it's a tough one first back. I was just telling him sort of how proud I was and trying to sort of take his mind off what was going on over my shoulder. While I was taking the gloves off, but thankfully everything was okay. He was fine. We got a text message and a call, like just before Joshua the ring, saying he's back at the hotel. He's had a brain scan. He's okay. He's fine. He can fly.
Well, that's good. Great stuff.
So that was great news, obviously. A good win and a really good statement sent out to delight everyone, in my opinion.
I quit with the moving through the levels at what? Sorry, Paul. I quit with the moving through the levels at 175. Paul, what do you think?
I think if he gets off a world title fight next, he'd take it, in my opinion. But he might want one more. But you know, I'm not him. I'm not his boss. I'm not his manager.
Yeah.
Kind of for him and what he wants to do. He's self-managed. He's got a team put in place around him to do them negotiations for him. And he's offered it, and he'll speak to us. He'll speak to the people around him. Speak to his missus. Speak to whoever he wants to do to pick their brains, and then he'll make his own decision. But I have no problem with him fighting for the title next. To be honest with you, he's improving with Buddy. He's improving and touching up and brushing up on things, and he's looking really good. I thought he looked very good, and the shot was devastating.
It was.
You know what? We've been scratching our heads for a couple of years at least. Myself and Carl have been real big fans of Callum.
It sounds like, Andy, that we're big fans of all the Smith brothers apart from Paul.
It does, doesn't it?
Apart from me, yeah. I'm done now. I'll just get on here, but you.
I'm only joking,
We've
Paul.
been scratching our heads for a couple of years now at how he made super middleweight. Yeah. Because he's got such a big frame.
Yeah.
And it looks as though now he's settled.
Yeah. It was hard work, and it was a lot of dedication on his behalf. That's what people didn't see, that side of it. He worked really hard to make it. But when I was saying he makes it okay, he was making it okay. I wasn't lying. He was making it fine. He just wasn't getting up and performing after making it. It was taking a lot out of his body. But, you know, he is just the type of fighter. He does everything that's asked of him, and he works really hard. Deserves everything he gets. He's always worked really hard and been dedicated and sacrificed a lot and puts the work in, and he's had the results and the rewards for that.
Who would you target out of the champions?
What a question.
Sorry.
Who would you target? Which champion would you target?
There's a little bit of history there with Bivol. Bivol beat Callum in the amateurs on points, so you know there's a bit of history there. They'd be in the ring together. I think it's the easiest fight to make because of Matchroom. I think the styles would gel well. You know, Bivol has his hands, you know, invitingly high protecting the head, but leaves the body open a lot. I think the Joe Smith Jr. is a great fight, but if you get offered the chance to fight Beterbiev or Beterbiev or however you want to pronounce it, then what a fight that would be. No one's really put a dent in him yet, apart from, say, Callum Johnson, who put him down. So he can be hurt, he can be kept there. Callum has just shown and proven that he certainly carried his power up there. With the weight, what I was going to say then is, I don't think there's any chance on earth Callum would make 168 now. I think he outgrew the weight straight away. And when he got in the ring this time, the body fat levels were exactly the same as when he was at super middleweight. So he's gained muscle and good weight, and he's in a good place now. And I think that shot and the statement that he sent out proves that he certainly carried the power up there to light heavyweight.
There's no doubt about it. That's going to send a shockwave through the division. I can't imagine. There was talk. I mean, there's been a lot of talk on social media about, who do you think's the best light heavyweight in Britain? He's above that level. He's above that. He's above that British level. He should be fighting for a world title next.
Not that boxer counts for much. There is no boxer belt or boxer title, but he's straight in at number one in Britain and number one in the world at boxer. At light heavyweight, and that's on his previous achievements, previous wins, everything else. But realistically, there's the big three that should be classed above him and ranked above him because they're the world champions. But in Beterbiev, in Smith Jr. and in Bivol, they're the type of fights that Callum would love next. I think anyway. But again, it's all entirely up to him. It's what he wants to do next.
Paul, I think I read on social media, which is obviously true then, that he would fancy another crack at Canelo at 175.
Who wouldn't? In my opinion, I think who wouldn't? At the end of the day, if Callum was to go up there and win a title or two at light heavyweight in the Canelo fight popped up and reared its head again, then I'm sure he'd love a chance. Not even necessarily just at 175, even if they put a catch weight in there somewhere at 173 or something like that. But more to the point, if he had 12 weeks for Canelo, he got 4 weeks last time with COVID. And it's not an excuse. He lost the fight and that's it, fair and square. You won't hear any excuses from Callum or the team. He lost the fight fair and square, but you can't help but think he'd have loved a proper crack at it with 12 weeks camp and training well, 12 weeks and doing everything right, with no restrictions, with no travel restrictions, with your own fans in the arena as well. But Canelo is on a mission. He's trying to unify at 168, which I think he will do. Then if he wants to move up, and if Callum has a title, I'm sure who wouldn't welcome it again. Canelo is the face of boxing at the moment, and you're paid accordingly for that if you fight him, but also you've got a chance to try and beat that man. And I think Callum is probably upset with himself that he didn't show what he had last time when he fought him, but I'm sure he'd love the chance to do that 175 when he'd be a bit fresher and a bit stronger and a bit more in the tank.
Well, me and Andy have been to a fight at Goodison. So it'd be nice to get Callum at Anfield fighting Canelo. Maybe take Andy and educate him on football while we're there also.
I'll be something else to fight there. Again, Canelo fight Canelo once, but you can always dream, can't you, and hope. It's things.
So finally, Paul, with you then, I noticed that you've got a new job with, am I going to pronounce this right? Probellium, is that right? Something along them lines?
Probellium, yeah. I've just done it. I did an Instagram live before to sort of announce a few things. We've signed some very good fighters, and I mean business. It's a big company. There's some big hitters involved in it. There's some big names from different sports and different entertainment industries that have all joined together, and they've created this brand, this promotion, this media outlet, so to speak, and it's going to be big. It's going to be good. We've signed some good fighters already. Regis Prograis just signed up. Buddy Mcgirt.
Yeah.
There's a couple of unbeaten fighters from over in the States, based in the States, that have signed up. A good Mexican fighter just signed up. There's also good talent that's joining on board as well for content creation and everything else. And the team behind it are really professional.
Is that a pundit to me and you then? What they call on air talent?
For me, it'll be on air. It'll be on air punditry. It'll be analysis. It'll be analysing the fight before and after. It'll also be commentary while the fights are happening. For myself, that's what I love doing. And fingers crossed I can stick in that role of. You're
very good at it, by the way.
And when they happen, thank you. And I really like that side, and I like getting across what is happening at the time to the man or the woman on the couch or in the living room watching it, which is the bread and butter of boxing fans, in my opinion. So I enjoy it. I like it, and hopefully, now with Probellum Long may continue.
You know what, Paul? There's very few people on commentary that can explain what a fighter's trying to do when he's setting things up in a ring, so that the average Joe understands it.
Yeah, I just try and copy off the football. When I watch football, Jamie Carragher and Neville are brilliant at that. Yeah. They educate me more. I know a bit about football, but I'm not a footballer at that level. And so when they speak, I listen. Now, I'm lucky enough to know Carragher, and he trains in the gym with us, and he trains in the Tund. And when I ask him a question about football and he tells me something, I just go, is it? Oh, okay. When you say that to boxing fans, they're like, nah, it's not. And it's like, well, he's the pro, he's telling me, and the pro was telling me what happens and how it is. So it must be that way. And I listen to him, and that's it, because you've done it and I haven't. So whatever you're saying must be correct. But when he's on the telly, he breaks it down for me, for the layman, for the average fan, so to speak, who knows a bit about it. I've watched plenty of games. I've been going to match since I was about 5 years of age, and I love it, but not clued up on it, and I couldn't teach it and pass it on. But when he speaks, I listen, and he makes me understand the game better from the studio or from wherever he is or from the commentary box, and I like that. And I try and do that in the box, and I try and think about what he would say, what he'd do. I like listening and watching Teddy Atlas. I think fight down great. Old school. I think he's got a saying for everything, but being around Buddy Mcgirt a lot in the gym, he's got a line for everything, but he makes you understand boxing better. And it's common sense with boxing, and too many people try and overcook it and try and overcomplicate things and use fancy jazzy words, and it doesn't need it. Just say what you see and say what's happening, and know your audience. I'm not commentating or breaking it down for fellow fighters. I don't use sayings like check left hook and all. I can't stand it like that. I just break it down for the fellow on the couch and for the average fan who loves boxing or likes boxing, admires it. They need me more. If I'm watching the boxing, I don't really listen to the commentary. And if I do, I find myself saying something, and then they'll say something, I think, yeah, you're on the ball, because I was just thinking that myself, or not being big-headed, but, or sometimes I'll be saying to the telly, no, you're wrong there, and I don't agree.
Paul, I'll be honest, Paul, me and Andy don't blow smoke, we're straight talking kind of lads. When we watch you on Beat Sky or DAZN, we listen to you, fella, because you break it down in such a way like Carragher does. You're in the same league as Carragher in my eyes in the boxing world.
That is what I try and do, honestly, and got no shame in admitting that. There's a lot of people who I admire in boxing, and I try and in football and other sports, and I try and take bits off them and use it to better yourself at your job, at what you're doing. Just because it's different sport, it doesn't really matter. Just say what you see. That's what we can do. Try and be honest and unmerciful, and just say as it is. And sometimes it might get you into a bit of bother, and people may not like it, but I think ultimately in the end you'll be respected for it. And for me, I can't sit there and lie, and I can't say the one in the red corner is winning well because he's the home fighter. When I know my mates and my peers and people are respected on the couch watching, thinking, nah, Paul, you're wrong there. You're saying that because I couldn't have that. I'd much rather the respect of, as I say, my peers, my friends, and people who are watching to say, you know what, well done for saying that, because sometimes things need saying, but people are afraid to say them, and it's not weighing into a kid or giving them loads. But on my first fight, on my pro debut, on my first fight, I didn't get shown live, but I got shown on the ringside show on the Thursday night, and Billy Graham, who was my coach, in the studio talking about my performance. And when I listened to the commentary, it was Jim Watt commentating on me, and he gave me a little bit of criticism, but it was constructive. And the next time I turned up at the show and I boxed, I went straight to Jim Watt and I said, was that a bit better tonight, Jim? Because I valued his opinion. It's not that he was world champion. It's not that he was a great fighter. To be honest with you, I didn't really know of how good he was because I didn't study him all that much. But I knew he was the voice on Sky, and I respected him for being that voice on Sky, and he must have been good to be there. So I asked him and I said, was he a bit better? And he said, you know what, you done this, you done that, and well done. And that meant a lot to me because I wanted to work on it to change it. And that's where young fighters nowadays will take the wrong end of the stick and think they're probably better than what they are, or think that you can't take criticism of people. But if it's constructive and you're getting it across, and it's not abusive and it's not nasty and it's not putting them too much, constructive criticism is very good for some fighters, especially when they're listening to the voice on the TV commentating on them, and it can be friendly, it can be good advice. But if they go away and work on it and come back next time, then even better, good on them. If they listen to little things from experienced old old fogey pros like myself, then it might help them, and it might not.
Yeah. I mean, me and Andy have watched many of fights where you listen to the commentary and you're like, are they watching the same fight as us? And it just destroys the sport almost as well, doesn't it, Paul?
I had one where I thought I got it wrong, and one of the most knowledgeable people was my brother Liam. And it was Luke Campbell against Mendy, who lost his first fight. And I was watching, I'd scored about 5 rounds to Mendy and only a couple to Campbell. And I could have this completely wrong here, because I was turning around and a couple of people were saying Campbell were doing well, and I wasn't really speaking to them because I had the headphones on. I was commentating for Sky, and I turned around and looked, and I thought, I've seen a different fight because I've got Mendy winning this. So first time in my life I ever broke and thought I need reassurance. And I texted Liam, have you got this? And that was it. And he messaged me back, Campbell getting fucked. And I thought, well, I'm on then. And again, no disrespect to Luke Campbell, he lost the fight, but he certainly come back and achieved a lot. I loved watching him fight. He was a classy fighter, but on that night, he just got it wrong. But I doubted myself because it wasn't meant to happen. And I'm sitting watching, and you're the voice, and you're not listening to another commentator. It's a bit daunting sometimes because you're creating that voice for the fellas at home and the women watching. So you have to sort of, be careful that you don't get it wrong completely, because it happens sometimes, and you're commentating and you're the voice, so you haven't got the luxury of listening to what someone else is saying, really. And you've got to get it right and say what's happened, and then just try and be honest about it, but in the nicest way you can without really putting too many people down.
Yeah, listen, Paul, that's... Go on,
sorry,
go on. I was going to say it's half an hour, Andy, so I was going to wrap it up because I know Paul's had a long day. So do you want to just jump in first? I know you got something.
No, I was just gonna ask you if you could elaborate a little bit on your history with Buddy.
Yeah, I met him in a contender. My mum and dad have been staying in a hotel where Buddy was staying while he was here for 3 weeks, and because they're getting the downstairs ripped out in the house. And she had a conversation with her at breakfast, and she said, "How did you meet Paul?" He said, "You know what?" He said, "The day I met your Paul, I knew I had a friend for life." And we met in a contender, and I just clicked with him. I just had the conversation with him. He's our type of people. He's a scally. He's from a rough area in New York, New Jersey, and he's done it the hard way. He's been right through the game, and he was a very, very good fighter, and someone I admired and looked up to. Because when I got in the contender, he trained Gatti for the Ward fight. He trained Harvey for the Lloyd Jones fight. Yeah. And he was in the contender. I remember thinking, I hope I'm on his team. No disrespect to Pepe Correa, but I wanted to be with Buddy. I wasn't with Buddy, I was with Correa, and he laughs and tells me stories about like they made sure I got the most awkward fella on it because they didn't want anyone to stand in front of me, and we just clicked. And when the cameras were off, I'd go and sit with him and have a cup of tea with him or have a coffee with him and just listen to him talk because it's Buddy Mcgirt. And then when we were in there, I mentioned to him, "Look, would you train me after this? I'm loving this." I had a contact with the contender team then, and with me promoter at the time, so I knew I'd be fighting in the States. And the idea of going over the States and basing myself there, learning a lot off Buddy Mcgirt, who had won Ring Magazine Trainer of the Year and was a top coach, was great. So I went to Vero Beach, Florida, and I was there for like 5-6 weeks at a time and spent time in his house, and I got to know him well. And he's a good fella, absolutely quality coach, boxing trainer, student of the game, knows the game inside out, common sense, and does everything that you need boxing wise, and he's a big believer in that. But you won't catch him taking you on a circuit, you won't catch him making you do press ups or running. If that's not his game, you do your boxing work with him and you box 5 days a week, and you go and do the other stuff with whatever coach you want to hire, or you're running by yourself and everything else. He's boxing, he's a boxer, he's old school, and that's sort of what I like. So for me, at the end of the day, what happened when I had to leave there was I was spending too much money getting there, getting Buddy over, paying him, and I wasn't on hardly anywhere near enough money to cover it all at the time, but it was working for me, and then it wasn't. So that was it. So when Callum wanted to leave where he was, I suggested Buddy straight away. He'd be great for you because you've got the strength and conditioning, you've got your running coach, you've got all your other bits are all there for you. You just need a boxing coach, which is what he's been lacking. 5 days a week in a boxing gym. The best way to get fit to box and to fight is by fighting.
Yeah.
Can't be a boxer only doing a couple of days a week in the gym. boxing or hitting pads or bags or sparring. You need more of that. And since he's been with Buddy, he's enjoying it. He's loving it. He's coming on and he's working well in the boxing gym as well as doing his other stuff. But the relationship he's built with Buddy already, you know, they bounce off each other, and he's good for Callum. Callum's pretty quiet. Buddy can be very loud at times, but he can be very quiet as well. And I mean loud in a good way. He's funny. He's the life and soul of the party. You know, he's been in Liverpool for 3 weeks, and every day we go to the gym, we work, and then after the gym we all go for food. We're about 10 lads out the gym who trained in the day. Just Joe Public come in and have a workout, but we're all good friends. We're all mates. We've been in that gym for over 20 odd years, and but he's got to know us all, and he loved it. And he enjoyed his time there, and we took him for every type of food possible, and he enjoyed his time, and it made his time in the UK a bit better, in my opinion. And he's thanked us for it. He loved working with us, and he certainly loved working with Callum.
Brilliant.
How's their time split, if you don't mind me asking?
Sorry?
How's Buddy and Callum's time split? What sort of time spent in the UK and what sort of time spent in the US?
For that one, he did 4 weeks in the US and 4 weeks in the UK. So he done 8. He was already pretty fit before he got. He'd already been training for a couple of weeks and over here. In future, you know, we'll see how it is. It depends where the fight is. If the fight's in the States, then he'll probably do 4 weeks here and the last 4 weeks. If the fight in the UK, he'll probably do the same again.
Right.
But you know, Buddy's not a big believer in 12-week camps either. You know, 8 weeks is enough. If you can't get ready in 8 weeks, you shouldn't be fighting. That's Buddy's attitude. You know, 6 weeks is probably enough for him sometimes. So he has your work and he knows where you're at. And I think proof was in the pudding on last Saturday night when he boxed. Little differences in him, his head movement. You know, getting his feet into range first. The advice in the corner was only 1 round, but the advice was quality. It was just clear. It was to the point. You know, questions, not back, and just, you know, can you do this for me, please? I'd like you to do this. And that's what it's like in the gym when he's sparring, when he's boxing. Some rounds he'll come back after sparring, he'll be like, I don't want you to throw right hand this round. I want to go out and just left hand only for the full round, and he'll do it. And he won't ask him why, but he'll come back after it and he'll explain to him why he did it, and he'll know then. And okay, this round I want you to just tag the body. And it's just old school, good methods, which they're both loving it. So the time, is, you know, 4 weeks there, 4 weeks here for that one, and for the next. It depends on
right, Paul, let me jump in here before Andy asks another lengthy question. Okay, so I'm going to bring it to Paul. Really thankful for your time, fella. I know you've had a long day today, but we really appreciate it. Thanks for coming on. And we'll bring it to an end there. Take care, Paul. Speak to you soon.
Thanks, Paul. All the best. Take care.